Okay. Okay. Seems to be good. And that's that. Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, it's been a very long time. It's been like 2 months, I think, since I've made a video. Or, well, maybe a month since I've made a video, and then probably like 2 months since I've done a live stream. So I've been busy. You guys already know, getting married in like basically a month and a half, and I'm moving out in the next 2 weeks. So I've been like looking at places and, you know, yada yada yada, stupid stuff. And yeah, so let's talk about Bitcoin. I genuinely don't even know where to start because it's just been so long since I've made a video, but I guess we can just look at the current chart and then I can explain my thoughts and levels and whatnot, and then we can kind of go from there, because it's not like I have anything to go back on here like, oh yeah, in the previous video or in the previous live session, because that didn't happen, you know what I mean? Thanks, Adele, no, I appreciate that. Hey guys, so yeah, so like looking at Bitcoin as of right now, what I'm trying to pay attention to, of course, is a 64K zone. Now, I mentioned to you guys prior the fact that I would be a buyer at the 64K region, and that was around this zone right here at 68K. This, of course, was a midterm support level right here. So losing that support level, of course, was extremely bearish. I mentioned that to you guys. The only thing that we need to pay attention to from a bullish confirmation is trying to stay above this zone and our exponential moving averages. If we end up losing this support level, though, of course, then I would be paying attention to 64K. As of right now, we did get a very clean zone retest around that 64.9. It wasn't exactly at 64.6 or whatever, but you get the point. Usually when you have a oversold region like that, you don't always get the perfect entry. So now looking at Bitcoin in general, though, you will notice that we are still trading below our exponential moving averages. I mentioned to you guys, of course, on the 4-hour time frame that what I'm going to be paying attention to is the fact that we haven't retested our EMAs. They were over leveraged, possible long opportunity there. So that played out very well. Same thing with Ethereum, which I'll get into in a little bit. But you can see that we didn't see structure break, right? We're still in this downward momentum trade. We are still downwards. We're still pushing downwards. So what that means is we are not seeing buyers or volume come into the market. So this probably isn't the zone where we're going to see a bounce opportunity. As much as I would like to be bullish, and I know you guys, like, you know, you prefer me to say moon boy things and whatever, but I have to keep a realistic perspective here. And right now, the realistic perspective, at least for Bitcoin, would be somewhere in this zone. Whether we see a wick down to 63.9 and then a continuation, but you can see that if we end up, guys, losing this zone right here, this is the last remaining bullish confirmation we have from the continuation move. If we end up losing 64 or 63K right here in between these two support levels, you can see from previous price analysis, when we had the initial pump, so the initial pump was this 4-hour candlestick right here, the initial short squeeze we had. If we end up seeing that level be broken, then the take profit level from a shorting perspective would be down at 61K. So you guys need to understand that at a worst case scenario can definitely happen. That doesn't mean you start panic closing your spot positions or whatever. It just simply means embrace, of course, the fact that that is the worst case scenario for Bitcoin as of right now. And the reason why I'm saying that is because it's happened so many times before. You guys know I've taught you guys this so many times. The fact that if you look here on Bitcoin, you will see we had the initial run-up opportunity, right? This initial short squeeze. And when we ended up losing that support level right here, you can see that that move completed to the dime, right? Completed exactly to the wick. That's why you have to be a little bit more cautious when you notice these things in terms of spot buying. And I told you guys this prior too, like if I'm going to be a buyer, I'm not going to be full porting or full, you know, jumping in everything with what I have right here at 64K. Instead, I would be slowly starting to dollar cost average. Like this would be the first buy zone, the second buy zone. At an extreme case, this would be the third buy zone, right? That's pretty much how I trade, because at the end of the day, when the market does end up bouncing, then you're pretty much in profit from all of your spot positions you entered within this zone. Now, for someone that possibly entered the zone here and major resistance at 71K, it's going to take a lot longer for them to actually make profit, or at least even be in terms of the break-even point. And that's why I tell you guys, like, patience is a big big thing, and a lot of people don't understand. They pretty much just full portfolio everything, and then they just pray for the best case scenario, right? For meme coins, sure, that could work very well, but when it comes down to spot positions, leverage positions, anything like that, you have to be very, very, very careful. Wow, there's 31 of you on a Monday morning. I appreciate that. Yeah, this guy. You guys are crazy. Okay, anyways, so in terms of Ethereum though, so let's talk about Ethereum real quick. So Ethereum's in a little bit of a different situation. 3411 and 3464 was the main zone for me, at least when I mentioned to you guys here at 36. Like, I would not be looking for buying opportunities here. Instead, I would be looking for buying opportunities as of right now. And the reason for that is, if you noticed on Ethereum's chart, we are on that zone completion, right? So we're on the worst case scenario as of right now. In terms of Bitcoin, we're not at the worst case scenario yet. We still have about another $1,500 more to go. That's why I'm looking at Ethereum from this perspective. If the bulls can end up breaking above on Ethereum, so if we can end up breaking above the exponential moving averages and using them as support, not on weekend volume, right? So if some of you guys looking at this chart, you're like, oh, Pingu, well, this already happened. No, not on weekend volume. We need to happen this week. And if we can see that, then all we really need to do on Ethereum is, on your alerts, just go ahead and put a line right there at 36.56. And if that level structure ends up breaking, then that's your long confirmation to play the squeeze into Ethereum, possibly back into the highs of 3,800. That is literally all you need to do. Otherwise, this is all noise. You are not trading this sideways action. You are just waiting for this possible scenario at 36.56 to end up breaking, enter the long position, play the squeeze, and lock in those scalping profits, right? It's the same thing from a shorting perspective. So for those of you that are bearish and you're thinking that, oh, Ethereum's going to drop, the level of play would be right here at wick low at 33.58. If that level structure ends up breaking, then of course put a line right there, and then you would take your take profits somewhere down in this region around 3,200 to 3,100. And before any of you say, oh my god, that'll never happen, it has happened. It's happened multiple times. When you have something of a structure this large, mostly on Ethereum because of the ETF news, you have to understand that there were a lot of orders that were placed within this region. And if this level structure ends up breaking, these orders from a long perspective or swing traders are going to start locking in their gains, and of course, if not, just starting to short those positions as well, which causes a cascade effect, right? And that's what we have to be careful of. That's why I always teach you guys, when you have something like this where it's just straight moonshot towards the upside, people see this as a bullish confirmation. Instead, what I see this as a be cautious zone, right? Because if the level structure breaks, then you are in major danger. Anyway, so let's talk about Dogecoin and stuff, because I mean, realistically on Doge, I know you guys love when I post Doge videos, and you guys wanted Doge videos and stuff. Like, guys, I'm gonna be honest, like right now, Bitcoin dominance is definitely taking lead, right? And you can see altcoins right now just getting absolutely decimated, right? We're not only on Dogecoin, but even just meme coins, everything is getting decimated. We are seeing a massive change, right? So you can see from the lows of 0.124, highs of 0.168, and now we are ending up breaking our midterm support. So Doge ended up breaking the zone, the worst case zone that I talked about Bitcoin and Ethereum. Doge had the worst case zone at 0.142. That zone structure has now been broken, and not only has it been broken, but it's also been retested as resistance, right? You guys remember, old support turns into new resistance, and that's where we are seeing Doge as of right now. On top of that, we also have our exponential moving averages being used as resistance as well. So not only are they pushing lower and pushing the price of Doge lower as well, we don't really have any sort of like major support level other than this wick right here. Would I be a buyer at this zone? I mean, looking at it from a spot perspective, again, from dollar cost averaging and whatnot for your long-term plays, if you enter here at 0.13 or you enter here at 0.124, is it going to make a major difference? Probably not for the long-term aspect, right? But for those of you that are looking to leverage trade, I wouldn't necessarily be looking for any sort of trading updates on Doge until, and the reason for this is until 0.11. Now, this zone I've talked about for many months, and from a bearish case scenario, a lot of people were hating on the videos and saying this will never happen. But looking at Doge as of right now, we have to understand a few things. Number one, 0.124 has been tested not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times. The more times a support level is tested, the likelihood of it breaking, of course, is a lot stronger. And that's exactly how I see Doge as of right now. If we continue to see this free fall situation with Bitcoin and Ethereum slowly bleeding and altcoins end up bleeding, if we end up losing 0.124, we are going to see that wick opportunity, which I talked about, into 0.11. That is, of course, the worst case scenario for Doge. I would highly suggest you guys be looking for some buying opportunities at 0.11 for a spot position long term. For those of you that are on leverage positions, the trade is very simple. All we need to do is wait for a structure. So, of course, a structure will be somewhere in terms of a support level. Something like this is exactly what we're looking for. We had a major downtrend movement on Doge, right? Same thing, broke midterm support. EMAs were being used as resistance. We ended up testing a major zone. We got a bullish engulfing. We actually broke above on the exponential moving averages, and that's all you need. Once you end up breaking above the EMAs and using them as support, then you can see how these V-shaped formations play, right? So you can see this is pretty easy to spot. Once we ended up breaking above that zone, and I'm pretty sure we took this trade as well because I remember it, but as soon as we broke above on the zone, that was your long confirmation. Well, so the question always comes up is, oh, Pingu, how do you know when to enter a long? Well, it's quite simple, really. All you really do is once you end up seeing a structure break, wait for the candle close on support, right? So an EMA has to be used as support, but the candle has to close. The amount of times I've seen, let's say you have the EMAs like this, I've seen candles close like this, right? So they're on the line and then everyone starts entering long and then you see this. That's why I tell you guys, wait for the candle close on the 4-hour time frame. Now, on the 4-hour time frame, you will notice that we are still trading in between our exponential moving averages, but we were using it as support. We had a stronger confirmation, right? Because we had a support level here, 0.13 as well. Enter the long formation, and then the question, of course, is where is the take profit? Well, me personally, I play the V-shaped formation. So once the V-shaped formation is hit, you exit your trade. If you're a scalp trader or anything, you can obviously set your trailing stops. I'm not going to get into that on this live stream, but you guys know how to do that, so it should be fine. But yeah, that's pretty much how I see Doge as of right now. I'm not really looking into altcoins. I keep getting the question like, okay, Pingu, like, can we buy altcoins? Can we buy this? Can we go buy that? Like, guys, I look realistically, like Bitcoin is just not doing hot. Like, it really isn't. If you look at meme coins, like for example, Popcat, the fact that Popcat's at 28 cents should give you a better perspective of where exactly meme coins are in terms of the cycle. If the movers, like quote unquote, the blue chips, like Dogwood Fat, Popcat, all these, whatever you consider blue chip, at the end of the day, what I consider is obviously anything on Bybit where it has multiple exchange volume. If these guys are getting decimated like 10%, 15% a day, your bags are not special. They're not going to do anything special. You're going to die with everything else. But I'll tell you, when the market does end up recovering, those coins are the ones that are going to run first. And of course, narrative and blah, blah, blah. But the same thing, right? Even on Pepe, you can see like right now, it's not a fun time to be in meme coins. Meme coins right now, I'd say are very PvP. So player versus player. And what that means is you'll start noticing a lot of times, every time you'll see an initial pump within the next 4, 6, 8 hours, it'll get dumped completely, right? And that's pretty much why, is because people are scared of the current market conditions. People are scared of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and they're worried the fact that we might see a new drop on these coins, and that's why the risk tolerance is completely different, right? So if you are trading meme coins full-time or whatever, I would highly suggest you guys be looking for these scalping opportunities. But when it comes down to blue chips, it's not a bad zone to be dollar cost averaging. Same thing with Noobcat, right? You guys can see on Noobcat, we're pretty much in the same zone that I mentioned to you guys. Would be a buying or dollar cost averaging zone. And of course, our initial zone was right here around right there, I think 0.41 or something like that. But same thing, right? We had the initial pump. You can see we had a huge drop or moon to 0.64, so around 64 million market cap. Great time to be locking in some profits, right? And then immediately after it got nuked. But these are the things that like I just teach you guys, but I'm not going to babysit and like watch over, right? Like a lot of you guys are like, okay, Pingu, what's the target for this? What's the target for that? Like, my thing is, if I like a meme coin, I'll send it in the chat. But most times I focus mostly on Bitcoin and Ethereum. And the reason for that is because the logic is very simple. If Bitcoin and Ethereum are going up, then everything is going to go up, right? It's very simple. And if Bitcoin and Ethereum are dropping, then everything's going to drop. There are times that, of course, some specific altcoins will do their own thing, and that's news-based specifically. But again, I don't really trade those tier 2, tier 3 coins. I only focus on the main one. So like even just for example, like if you pay attention to what Solana is doing, Solana Solana will give you a better idea as well, right? Because if Solana, all the meme coins are on Solana, Solana is doing well, guess what? Most of your meme coins are probably going to do well as well. But right now, Solana is also getting decimated, right? We're not seeing any sort of pump volume. We're actually doing the same thing as Ethereum, and our buy target would be around 0.134. But here's the danger part of that. 0.134 has also been tested multiple times. So what happens when you test that thing that many times? Well, you see these insane wick opportunities, right? So like I said, guys, I'm not trying to be, doom and gloom, but like, right, things are right now not looking as hot. And the reason why I haven't really been making videos either is because we've pretty much just been in a sideways action move. You can see I pretty much went around this zone in terms of vacation. Like, what was it? Yeah, like June, like something like that, June 11th, about a month ago. Realistically, like we've been in around the 67, 65K zone for a month now. And I know it's painful to watch. A lot of people, like, oh, it's so boring, nothing's happening, yada, yada, yada. And that's the brutal part of sideways action. You got to be very, very, very careful. So, all right, let's see. All right. So, yeah. So I think that's pretty much most of the nutshell that I have for you guys in terms of just Bitcoin and Ethereum and whatnot. Let me see. I don't think I wanted to talk about anything else because most of the altcoins, like I said, they're not really doing that hot anyways to begin with. So let's see. But yeah, if you're going to be, like I said, if you're going to be a buyer for these zones right now, at least on Bitcoin and Ethereum, or from a long perspective, what we're waiting for initially is just a candle close above these zones. If we see a wick down to 63K and we see, like a quick buy opportunity like here, like this is what I'm worried about, and this is what I want you guys to pay attention to. So this is a good example. So you can see that when Bitcoin initially had its dump opportunity down to around 63K, right, there were buyers waiting at this level. So we did see a wick, we saw the close above, but this is why the exponential moving averages are very important. What you want to see, of course, is a break above the EMAs for the confirmation. Instead, you can see we actually used it as resistance, letting you know the fact that we were not ready to push forward, and we continue to see that dump opportunity. You can see just how perfectly the exponential moving averages acted in this area, showing you that we're still in that downtrend, right? And then when we had the initial break, then we went into an uptrend, right? Then we were starting to push higher and higher and higher. That's all we really need to pay attention to as of right now. If Bitcoin is going to do anything specific, we have to see an EMA break. First, we're obviously going to see a wick somewhere into this zone. Once we see that wick opportunity, then we're going to need to see a candle close above the support level. Once we see that level, then of course the EMA break, and then we enter the trade. And that's very, very simple. Otherwise, for those of you that are like, oh, I want to short this Pingu, I want to short Bitcoin, I want to short this, I want to short that, like, you got to understand a few things. Number one, we're in extreme oversold conditions. Number two, if you look even on the daily time frame, you'll also notice the fact that, we're entering some major daily support. We've seen multiple wick opportunities happen at this specific zone. So that's why, from a shorting perspective, if you wanted to short, ideally anything on this retest would have been fine. But right now, it's a little cautious. If you want to short, you can possibly enter a short around the 63.9 zone. That's, of course, the midterm support level break. If you want to enter there, that's the zone I would be paying attention to for a shorting perspective. But of course, not like immediately. So we're not trying to be bottom shorts here, right? We're not trying to enter a short as dumping. No. What we're waiting for is a pullback into the EMAs, and then we're going to see how that plays. If they're rejected, then you enter the short. And that's literally how we're going to end up playing Bitcoin on that level front. So that gives you a better perspective as well on how to play that from a short, right? So that's how we do it. Hbar network, I've never heard of that one. Again, like, I don't really analyze new coins, or I'm not really sure what that is. And the thing is, because I've explained this many times to a lot of you guys, the problem with analyzing new coins is the fact that there's just not enough technical analysis to go off of. Their mainly source is basically news based, or of course, market updates and whatnot. And I don't like trading something like that, only because if you look at the chart, I mean, look here, I'll just give you an example on your thing just to make it Hbar network. I don't even know what this thing is. Yeah, here you go, Hbar network. So here, let's show you. So like, you can see here, let's see in the daily. Like, this isn't, like, this looks like a meme coin chart, right? Like, so like, this is the problem. Like, what exactly are we supposed to be analyzing here? This thing got nuked at 93 cents. Now it's trading at 0.018. It's like, there's really nothing happening, right? So this is why I don't analyze these things, is because there's not enough technical analysis to go off of. You can pretend like, like, okay, yeah, like the line is going to be here, right? Because this is a major support. And then we have our resistance line is going to be right here because we see multiple tests. But like, guys, like, this isn't enough to go off of, right? You can see that the resistance here was in July of last year. Like, you have maybe maximum a year, and it's just been sideways. Like, there's nothing crazy to analyze here. So I that's the reason why I don't bother with it. But if you're looking at it from a perspective of, buying, then, if you like the coin and whatever in terms of that, that's good. But yeah, like, looking at most of the altcoins right now, Gala and all of these, like, guys, like, they're getting absolutely decimated. Like, it's not even funny how bad these things are doing. And that's because, like I said, the market is in a fear zone right now, with Bitcoin seeing a drop, Ethereum seeing a drop. Your altcoins are not special. Everything's gonna drop. Your meme coins are definitely not special, and that's gonna be, I think, a lot more painful for a lot more people. The problem with meme coins, like I said, is mostly attention based, right? When they're doing hot, attention volume is there, but the minute the attention and volume leave, that's when you start seeing slow bleed opportunities. And that happens to a lot of meme coins. So you have to be a little bit more cautious when you're entering with size, mostly on like Popcat or anything like that. Long term, these coins will do well, right? Like, I talked about this before too with Dog with Hat, and I explained that theory a long time ago to you guys. I was like, look, like Pepe, Dog with Hat, like, you guys remember, I felt like I was a tinfoil hat man. Like, I was sitting there with charts and I was drawing these things out with Dog with Hat and Pepe, and I was like, guys, look, I'm crazy, but like, this is the plate. This is the plate. Like, it will do extremely well. And that was at 300 mil market cap for both of them, right? And then we saw 10x on both, from 300 mil market cap to 3 billion within like a week and a half. I think it was crazy. And that's why, like, these are things that I noticed, not only from a technical side, but just from a volume base and stuff, right? So we knew when Ethereum moves, Pepe is the leader of that. We knew when Solana moved, Dog with Hat was the leader of that, right? Then you'll have the tier 2, so you'll have all the other meme coins and blah, 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 blah. But the point of the conversation is, when Ethereum is doing well, when Solana is doing well, you'll see extreme gains in your meme coins. But the minute the market switches up, so the minute we start seeing support levels being broken and stuff, you'll start noticing a lot more PvP, and you'll wonder, like, why are my bags dumping? It's not just you, it's everything. Everything is going to dump. It doesn't matter what you're in. The question is it going to survive? So are your meme coins going to survive for the next 3-4 months of just straight pain? And if they do, then you'll start seeing some insane gains, right? And that's pretty much how you play it. Bear market is back? No, definitely not. Bear market is back. That is not the point of the conversation. This is just a corrective move, right? We are not in a bear market. We are still in a bull market. We are right near above all-time high. So this is not bear market. Bear market would, probably be like 35, something like around there. But right now, I think we're just in a larger corrective state. And that's what I'm paying attention to, is if we end up seeing, of course, like, this is a zone that I want to pay attention to in terms of a buying opportunity. If we end up seeing a bounce here, then yes, that's a confirmation to enter the long. So something like this is the ideal play. That's what I'm paying attention to as of right now. But if this level structure ends up breaking, then something like this. So just to give you a little imaginary line, but that's how I'm playing this, right? So this is how I'm playing the 64K region, but everything is dependent on the candle closes. Of course, I'll let you guys know when, I think it's a good time for some long positions. Like, I'm pretty good with, in terms of at least the trades that I send you guys, they're pretty damn accurate. And the reason for that is, of course, I just don't bombard you guys with trades. Like, I'm not, like, you'll notice that, like, even from Telegram, like, it's been like, I think a week or like maybe 5 days since I've posted a trade. And the reason for that is because, like, there's really nothing for me to enter, right? I don't want to be guessing. I don't want to be like, okay, guys, this looks good. We're going to buy here. We're going to buy there. Like, no, there's no reason to. But when we do end up trading, when I do end up sending those trades, like, they play out very, very well. It's just a patience game. And the reason why I don't bother with it with you guys right now is because not only am I busy in real life, but I also don't want you guys to get caught out in the sideways action. The problem with sideways action is it's extremely hard in an emotional standpoint, right? Because the wicks are a lot harder to trade. You will notice that from both sides of Bitcoin and Ethereum, from a long and a short perspective, the wicks are into the regions of 66.9 and, of course, the lows of 65.8. From a leverage perspective, that's quite brutal. And there are easier trades to enter when the time of the market is there, but right now I don't think it's the time to be really looking into these trades. So that's just my thought process through all of this. But yeah, right now all we're doing is just going to sit and wait to see how 64K plays, and then we can go from there. Make sense? AVAX is not new. It's tops 10. Sorry, no, I didn't see AVAX. I can do AVAX TA for you as well. AVAX. I think I had AVAX right there. See, I still have it. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's brutal. I'm not even gonna lie. That's actually brutal. So AVAX right now, in terms of, where I would be a buyer, would probably low-key be right there. So this is actually pretty interesting on AVAX. This is quite nice to see. So if you look on AVAX, you'll notice the fact that we had a major resistance, right? Major resistance was at 22. Not one test, two tests, three tests, right? So this is all from resistance. Then we had fourth test, and this is where things get interesting, right? So then we ended up actually breaking above that zone, and look what happened. So this resistance level then flipped to support, right? So this was major resistance, then it started acting as major support. And that was a confirmation to enter the longs. And this is what I try to teach you guys. This is exactly what we're looking for when we're looking for a swing position, or of course a larger position size, is when you have a major resistance turn into support, then you have the EMAs as well being used as support, then you're in the best case scenario, right? But now if you look at AVAX, you'll notice that this level that of course, you know, we were in, there is nothing. There's literally nothing that's stopping AVAX from having a free fall down to $22 and then seeing a bounce. Because if we look at it from a midterm support, this is your midterm support level coming up around $27. But the problem is with the $27 region, it's already been tested, right? So when you have the initial test, so the first test, so if I'm looking at it from a technical analysis standpoint, I would notice, okay, well, for some reason, AVAX decided that this zone right here was a resistance point, right? So we started seeing quite a few wicks here. So now if I were in this sort of case scenario on the way down, like let's just say like it was like this, the chart was like this, I'm looking at it like this and I'm like, okay, so this level right here had, you know, from a resistance standpoint, there was quite a few tests. So from a support standpoint, that should be the ideal zone I want to be a buyer. And you can see right there, right? The same level flipped to support, and then that was a buy zone. But now the problem is, looking at the chart again, we're in that same zone again. So what does that mean? Well, that simply means that there wasn't enough bullish pressure to continue pushing forward. So now the question is, are we going to end up seeing a breaks of this support level and then what happens? Or of course, are we going to see another test and then a continuation? There are two ways to trade this. Number one is a scalping trade. So if I'm looking at it from a perspective of AVAX here, I'll notice that we are in extreme oversold conditions. We've had consecutive red candles on the 4-hour time frame, and there's some sort of support here at this zone. What I would do in this sort of case scenario would be I would wait for the candle close, right? Because I'm not trying to play the wick towards the downside. Wait for the candle close. If the candle does end up coming like this and then closing right here, I would enter a long position. And my long position would simply be just into the exponential moving averages. It is not a moon boy position. It is not that I bought the bottom, let's go to the moon. It's not like that. It is simply just an exponential moving average retest. Once that level is retested, if we end up seeing a structure break, great, I'll hold the trade. If we end up rejecting on the 4-hour time frame, I will be closing that position, because what that means is if that level structure ends up retesting as resistance and breaking down, then that is the continuation back towards the downside once again. That would show you that there are not buyers at this level. We are going to be waiting for the $22 region. So that is how I trade these levels. I hope that makes sense for you guys. What are your spot positions? Still Beam and IMS? Yes, those are still my gaming ones. There's quite a few in terms. I'll send an update later. There's Hbar, there's PopCat, there's NoobCat. There's all of these ones that I've talked about before. Copy trading, not right now, honestly. Like, yeah, I know it wasn't fair. It really wasn't for a lot of people, but I will, like I said, with the move and everything happening right now, it's too stressful to be doing anything new. So I'm just kind of smooth sailing with you guys, and in terms of chart updates as well. But I will probably later this year. I'll look into it again. I don't know yet. XE the legend, the first ever subscriber. Holy, what's up, buddy? BNB short, good for short. So again, I explained this before. Like, okay, let me see. Where's BNB? I think I have it. I used to look at BNB a lot back in the day, but not anymore. Oh, I know I have it somewhere. Where are you, BNB? Let's see. There it is. That's not it. This is it. Probably not XC, if I'm being honest with you. Like right now, BNB is on a major midterm support level. Like 589 is a major zone. A structure break of that, and you can possibly scalp it down into maybe there, like 564. But probably not the best case to short. Mostly on a sideways action like this. Like this is definitely sideways action and dead volume, right? So we're just been in the same zone for a while. I want to short something like this. If you were going to short something, you would short at the initial break of 634, which was the midterm support, or even the retest as resistance. That was a good short, but not now. It's definitely not a good short right now. Like it could definitely play out as a scalp, but again, like I'm not comfortable with that trade. I bought PopCat at 40 cents, kind of worried now. Well, that's the thing about meme coins, right? Like, you don't have to be worried in the long term. In the short term, yeah, it's painful. Like, and I explained that to you guys before with Dog with Fat, right? Like, I remember buying Dog with Fat at, like, what? I think it was down. Here, I'll show you guys real quick, just as a perspective. So I remember I bought my second position of Dog with Hat right here. So I bought it around 36 cents. You can see that it went from 36 cents down to 16 cents. So it was almost more a 60% corrected move with size, like a lot of size, by the way. So it wasn't an emotional standpoint. I think as long as you have conviction, you were fine. And you can see then the market bounced and then it ripped up towards the high side. The good thing about Popcat is you don't necessarily have to worry, is you have Bybit, right? So Bybit, when the market does recover, people are going to be seeing it as a leverage trade. They're going to be like, oh, this seems pretty oversold, I want to buy. And when the money starts flowing in, it's going to flow in extremely fast. The same thing when I had the logic of 0.11 and it shot up to 0.52. It was a 5x in what, like 2 days? And I told you guys, like, this is the same reason. It's the same logic right now. It's the same logic to begin with once again. Same thing with Popcat, right? So Popcat is still good. You don't have to worry about that. Thank you so much. We're still in a bull market, so nothing to worry about. No, exactly. There's nothing to worry about. Can Litecoin reach all-time high? Litecoin will reach all-time high. It always does every bull market, but it is always the last to pump. So when Litecoin, in terms of a bull market, reaches all-time high, that is when you know we are nearing the end of the bull market and it is time to lock in most of your profits. That is my sole indicator for this bull run. It's worked well in 2016, it's worked well in 2020, and it's going to work well again this time, I'd imagine. But that's just how I'm going to be playing it. So if I'm looking at it from that perspective, I would simply just be waiting for Litecoin to break all-time high, and I start locking in most of my gains, and then I move on with my life. That's literally how you play that. But we are at the 30-minute mark, and I appreciate you guys on this Monday morning. I'm surprised there was 30 of you. Like I said, Monday mornings, everyone was at work and whatever, so that's pretty nice to see. It was nice talking to you guys again. I know it's been a long ass time since I've made one of these. And I've just, like I said, I'm just busy, yo. I'm busy, but I've been trying to do updates in terms of charts and everything else. But this live stream, I hope this gave you a better perspective, at least, of where exactly we are in terms of the market. It is recorded, so you're welcome to go back to it if you're confused about a specific zone. I explained it pretty well, I'd imagine, but if you do have any questions, you can always reach out to me. But that's just the level play that we're going with as of right now. So again, 64K for Bitcoin. We're going to have to see how that level zone plays out. And then, of course, the 3,400 region for Ethereum. I don't have time frames on that K. I don't do time frame trades. Anyways, okay. All right, guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And I'll see you guys in the chat. I'm gonna, like, you know, maybe later today I'll probably send some sort of update if we see anything. If not, then I'll talk to you guys at night with a good night message, and then we'll go from there. So thank you for coming, and yeah, I hope you guys have a great day. All right, see you guys.